Welcome in. It's family time with Pastor Juan and Emilian.
And Jordan.
And Emilian.
Juan and Emilian. What's up, guys? Man, it's good to be back, bro.
Is it?
I feel like I've been gone a million years, but really only been
I think it
gone
was
a
like
week.
a couple days.
Yeah, a week.
Pretty close.
A week.
What were you doing?
I was on family vacation in South Padre Island.
Oh.
Yep.
Not feeling the whole Jesus thing that week, huh?
What?
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 All right, we'll move on.
I spent plenty of time with Jesus. Thank you.
Did you?
I did.
Did you go to church?
I did.
Where'd you go to church at?
Island Baptist Church. They're without a pastor. My wife goes, "You want to put your resume in?" I was like, "No."
Uh-oh.
One day, though, I might be the pastor of that church.
Is it a big church?
No, it's little, but it's retire on the island so I can fish the rest of my life. That sounds like okay plans.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
What?
Gonna have to be much later in my life.
So if there's no pastor, what were y'all doing?
Well, we didn't know that until we got there, but the worship leader he preached. So,
How's there a worship leader, not a pastor?
well, the worship leader's been there forever. Dude, you should hear this guy. He cracks me up, bro. He's
good?
like a 60s star, right? And so all the music he plays he plays it in like a 60s island style.
Is he old?
Yeah, he's old. And I swear all of his band members I think he played in Vegas. And I think all of his band members were on his team in Vegas because, bro, they're all old. It's got a really good island vibe sound, but we go every year and
It's festive.
the first time I was there, I was like, dude, this is kind of cool. Second, third time, I was like, it's all right. But the dude loves the Lord, that's for sure. He actually preaches really well.
Does he? That's good.
Preached a really good sermon.
That's good.
He preached on giving, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, first one.
Yeah.
Nice to be back.
Might be his last sermon.
Yeah.
No, he actually did a great job.
He's like, John's here. His wife's a doctor.
He doesn't know me.
He knows Poppy, though. I know they've talked about
Not
him.
this guy.
Not that guy?
No, the preacher did.
Oh, but he's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore.
Interesting.
He's in Fredericksburg.
Oh, so he moved churches. Okay, I got you. Well, I wasn't at church last Sunday. I actually took my wife to an Astros game for our
Did
anniversary.
you say you weren't in church?
Mm-mm.
You weren't in church?
Nope.
You're such a heathen.
I'm not.
Not in church because you're a heathen. You're not a heathen.
I'm not a heathen.
You're a heathen. You heathen.
Anyway.
Okay, you went to the Astros game. Did they win?
Judgy McJudgerton.
Did they win?
What?
Did they win?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, well. See how the devil does you? The devil's like, you didn't go to church?
Anyway.
Good job, buddy. We'll let the Astros win for you.
I don't think that's how the devil works.
It's not. Nor is it really a sin to go to the Astros game on a Sunday. So.
Anyway, yeah, I took my wife for our anniversary. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's a thing that we like doing.
Why didn't she give birth right there in the stadium?
That's what
That'd have
I
been
said.
cool.
That's what I said.
She ruins it all the time.
It'll be on the Astros dime, too.
Man, see.
I'm pretty sure there's a rule. If you have a baby in there, they have to pay for it.
You get free season tickets or something.
That would be cool. There's
Yeah,
way too many games. I would never go.
She messed that up.
She did mess it up.
She's
yeah.
selfish.
You need to really start thinking about your actions and how they affect everyone around you.
Yeah, because we were looking for tickets. What's your problem?
Yeah. Anyway, I did that. This one probably, I don't know. This one was shorter. This one won't even be out till Saturday. I have to go to Houston. You're going out of town. Where are you going?
Hey, we can't say that.
Why?
Because then people will skip. No, I'm going. I'll be back by Sunday. Going to Mexico. Going to, where am I going? Playa del Carmen.
Why do you get to go on so many vacations?
Well, this isn't a vacation. I'm working.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing a wedding.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. One of our church members.
Oh, no. Doing a wedding.
Yeah. It was so funny. I was doing their marital counseling, and they said, so we're getting married on this date. And I said, that sounds awesome. They said, yeah, we're doing it in Mexico. Man, we sure wish you could do it. I said, why can't I? I said, well, I can't. It's probably. She goes, we're paying for it. I said, count me in. So my wife was like, if they're paying for you to go and the hotel, I'm going to. So she
bought a ticket.
She bought a ticket too.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we'll be there. We'll be there 2 days for the wedding and 2 days for ourselves.
Good.
So it's gonna be good.
So you're missing church again?
I'll just miss Wednesday.
You just missed Wednesday, so you're
Yeah.
going to be gone. When are you leaving?
Tuesday, tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, and you'll be gone till Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So my house will be empty. Just kidding. So go steal my stuff. No, just kidding. No, actually, we're the only ones leaving. There's folks staying at our house, so we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Don't know how long this is going to be. Not a lot of research I was able to do.
I bet it still
But
goes long.
we can figure it
I
out.
bet it'll still go long.
I know you and you.
Every
like to
sermon that I'm like, this is going to be a short one. Oh, well, never mind.
Exactly. And Missy has a mic now. Say hi, Missy.
Hello.
Okay, listen. If we say hi, Missy, you cannot wait 20 seconds to say hello back.
I was muted. I wasn't expecting that. I kept myself muted so when I laugh on this.
Okay,
thing-
too much talking.
Okay, that's enough.
Just good. That's why I don't have the mic.
We want you to answer faster, not longer.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. It's cool. Anyway.
We're just kidding. Now stop.
She has a comment I think she's going to make later. Anyway, so we have some questions. Actually, you got a shout out from Devin from the Pier. Said he hoped you enjoyed your tacos.
Oh, man, that was cool. Yeah, so we were fishing the last night at the pier, and it was really cool. I've never seen this before. My son was walking around the pier in South Padre, and he says, Dad, you got to see this. I was like, first of all, that's not true. He was over there by himself. He didn't tell us anything. And so I went looking for him, like, where'd Josh go? I get over near him, and I was like, what are you doing over here? He goes, I'm fishing. Well, look down, and there are hundreds of speckled trout popping the top of the water. They're everywhere. You can see 20 or 30 at a time hitting the water. Mm-hmm. You can see them huge. Mm-hmm. And he's over there fishing for them. He can't catch them. I'm like, why didn't you tell me they were over here, bro, to come help? Anyway, I showed him what I thought we should catch them with. I went and bought some live shrimp, and we just kind of popped them. And that idiot caught 19 of them. I mean, just caught them as fast. Yeah, caught them as fast as he could. I caught 2. He caught 19 of them, just pop, 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 pop.
They're big?
No, none of them big enough to keep. One, I think. We caught 3 probably big enough to keep, but I didn't keep mine. Josh kept his. And honestly, there weren't that much meat on them. But that dude just kept, catching. But he was over there trying to catch him without telling us. That jerk.
That sounds like very Joshy.
Anyway, there were 4 guys at the end of the pier where we were, and really nice guys from McAllen. Mm-hmm. And Devin was one of them. And so we were kind of talking, and they kept talking about food. And I was like, bro, it's like 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning. I'm starving. I said, stop talking about food. They're like, we're going to Whataburger. And I was like, bro, you got to give me something. I don't have a car. He goes, I'll get you something. What you want? So I told him what I wanted, gave him $40 to leave and go. And he was going to leave and go home, but they were going to go get Whataburger and bring it back to me. And they offered that. And so I gave him the money. My son was like, they are not coming back. I said, no, I'm telling you, we had a good talk. I told him about the Lord and got to talking about Jesus. And so I gave him the money. And sure enough, about an hour later, Devin came back on the pier, gave me my food. We ordered tacos and Whataburger tacos and Dr. Peppers. And anyway, it was a great time. And so he brought me food. It was pretty awesome.
Wow.
So, now, if he'd have stole that $40, my son would have laughed his head off because he was so sure. So sure. He's like, you don't trust people like that. I said, well, you can. I said, the cool thing is because I trusted him like that, I have a little more faith in humanity.
Yeah. I was going to say, shout out to Devin for bringing faith back to humanity.
Amen. And bringing food to me. I was hungry.
$40. Yeah. And I'm his nephew.
He's like, God gave me gas money. Peace. Yeah. That was cool, man.
Anyway, yeah.
So guys, shout out to Devin.
Shout out Devin. A lot of y'all left a lot of comments. I appreciate it. Those go a long way as far as the YouTube algorithm. And I'm actually interested. I read all of these. And a lot of them are interesting to read. Some of you have been telling stories in them. I think the Olympic one, some people were telling stories in it, and some other stuff that we were talking about.
Dude, I got some hashback, boy. I got a friend of mine called me, didn't text, called me about our thing about the guy girl, the boxer. Mm-hmm. And they were like, how do you know it's a girl, not a guy? And I was like, well, that's because he's like, that's not been proven. Boy, he hammered me. And I was like, well, I said, I think what I said in the end was, and I want to say it one more time, is that we just need to make sure we don't jump to the conclusion we want to jump to based on what because we don't really know all the answers.
The problem is it's not how do you know if it's a girl. You can ask the same question. How do you know it's a man? So it goes back and forth. You have no idea. Yeah. And so
well, that's my point. Is I wasn't trying to say, and if I did, I didn't mean to, that it was a girl or a guy. Mm-hmm. My point is that sometimes we jump to conclusions off the first things we hear, mm-hmm. and those things aren't true.
Anyway, she's suing people now for defamation, and one of those would have, if she's suing them because she is a girl, she will have to prove it, or else it wouldn't be defamation. So we'll find out sooner or later. I think the point of it was people just say a lot of things with no information at all, and it becomes an echo chamber of nonsense
Yep.
on the internet. And it's like, I heard this, so I will shout it out as loud as I can. And that's just, you have to, as Christians, you got to be logical about what we say, the next thing we say. The other thing is there is a lot of evidence of her as a girl being a child. Even the dad came out and said she's always been a girl.
Yep.
She's obviously has a medical issue, and that's what we were saying. So,
Yeah. Well, my point is just don't jump
but I'm
to
open to be
conclusions.
wrong.
Well, and that's the other thing is that if you're wrong, then if you made a public announcement, then make a public announcement that you're wrong too.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point.
Yeah, and I'm open to be wrong, but obviously it's a big deal.
Is it bad that part of me hopes that everybody's wrong and it really is a girl and she will and then she becomes the Mike Tyson of the female boxing ring? I'm just saying I'm always looking for somebody who can dominate.
I don't know. I don't care. I honestly, I just want the truth.
Can we talk about Caitlin Clark while we're here?
Sure.
Dude, she dominated last night again. They played Seattle last night, and Seattle's 17-11 or something. Anyway, they're a lot better team, and I think she scored like 24, 26 with 9 assists.
She got assaulted at the end of the game?
This was last. I don't know. Did she get assaulted?
Yeah,
yesterday?
one of the girls went and pushed her, and then the other coach was yelling at her coat. It was, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. I just saw the highlights. But yeah, she had 9 assists and like 26 some points. I don't know. But my point is they just beat another good team.
Yeah, they beat them by like 20 or something.
No, it wasn't that bad, but it was
Oh yeah,
it was 11
it wasn't
or
the
something.
same game that I'm talking about.
No,
The
this
one
was
I
like-
saw, they were up by a lot at the end of the game.
No, this I think they won by 11, something like that. But it was
pretty good
I didn't get to watch the game, but I got to watch the highlights. It was cool. That girl
Anyways,
can play, man. She can
She
play.
can play. Take notes.
I'm telling you, when I shoot now, I say, Caitlin.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna say anything.
There you go.
Actually, I was gonna say no. I'm not. Yeah, I'll say it.
Say it. What you got?
No, I'm not gonna say it because I don't know how a way to say it than to say it really rough. I'll
Yeah.
say it off camera.
Then I think I know what you're going to say.
Anyway, no, I don't care. What was I saying? Oh yeah, thanks for leaving the comments. I don't know much about Caitlin Clark, so I don't really have much to say.
Don't worry, you'll know. You'll figure it out.
I get all my information from you when it comes to that.
There you go.
All right, this one is.
Did we talk about Steph Curry since last time? We didn't.
Did you see the game? Did you watch the gold medal game?
Dude, he went crazy.
I woke my family up because they were taking a nap. It was in the afternoon, and I was watching. I was like, "Oh, he made a 3." Because it was a close game until he started hitting them.
The last 2 minutes, you're like, he hit a 3. Oh, he hit a 3.
He hit a 3.
Hit a 3. Yeah.
4 in a row, and the last one was just
stupid.
When you're a little tired too, so thankfully it went in.
What's great is if you see, I saw a picture. I think I took a picture of it today. There's a picture of Durant throws it back to him. Both those guys collide on him, and as he's jumping to shoot, Durant's got his hands out for a pass, and LeBron's on the other side of the court going
wide open. Yeah,
like no, but got his hands out like this, like either like I'm open or like what are you doing? But it went in.
I thought LeBron was doing that as like, oh, it's going in because that's what they.
Well, he did it before as he was shooting. I don't know. He wasn't doing this. He was like this, like it was
I've
weird.
seen that. I'm pretty sure he was like, that's
Maybe,
in. That's
maybe,
in. Because
maybe.
they all, as soon as Steph shoots it, you're like, that's in.
Yeah,
So
it's-
there's like,
it was-
he doesn't have, even he will shoot it, turn around.
Yeah, well, it was insane.
You know it goes in when he turns around. There's something like he knows the way
Well, I do too.
It comes off the way off his hand, whatever.
Yeah,
I think most people know that, but I'm not confident enough to be like, and turn around and look at you. So,
Here's the thing. I told somebody this the other day. If you're a real shooter, right, and I'm not trying to build myself up, but I'm a shooter. And if I let the ball go, I know immediately if it's either going in or I'm going to get robbed. One of those things. But the minute I let it go, I know it's in or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole idea of him shooting and turning around doesn't mean that much to me, especially because he shoots the ball so high. As soon as he lets it go, he has plenty of time to turn around. Mm-hmm. So
it's not
it's insane.
It's not the fact that he knows that it's going in. It's more of he has the confidence of doing it because I've seen, oh, that's clean. Like it's just the way it comes off your finger. It comes off with a perfect.
Yeah.
You're like,
That's
that's
it.
in.
Yeah.
And then an air ball. You're like,
No, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The only time that's ever happened to me is in Africa because that little turnaround jump, that little turnaround fade I have from the baseline. And I don't even look at the goal, I just turn around and shoot. Well, in Africa, the baseline, the free throw line sidelines are not straight; they're angled. And so, because I don't look at the goal, I think I know exactly how far I am. Well, I did a turnaround thinking I was closer than I was, but I was about 4 feet out, and I'm airballed about 4 feet. But it's just I was like, yeah, what in the world? Yeah, that's about the worst
or
one.
it goes too far or whatever. But it happens.
It was nuts.
It's not crazy that he turns around and it goes in. It's crazy that he's confident enough to do it because
Well,
no one else will do it.
yeah.
Just for that small percentage chance it doesn't go in. I don't want to look stupid.
Yeah. Well, the other problem is he can do it a lot.
Oh, he does it all the time.
But those 4 in a row were ridiculous.
No,
they were ridiculous. Once he hit the first one, that's the worst part. Once he hit the first one, everybody in the stadium knew it was over.
Yeah.
It's like, give Curry the ball.
Well, then
Every
when
time he
he
threw
came
it to
back,
Durant.
it's a 3 to keep him in it. You're like, okay.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
Durant goes, it gave him to Durant. Durant goes, don't give it to me.
Yeah.
You take the ball.
Durant is insane too. He's another
He
one of
is.
those guys.
But
who just like,
look, when one of the greatest shooting forwards in the world ever, Durant, you give him the ball, he's open. He goes, no, you're on fire, buddy.
Yeah.
Take the ball.
Well, they know how heat works.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It was
heat
insane.
check, go till you miss.
Yeah, if you miss yet, keep going.
But I mean, his ability to just close out games is just insane. Because before, if you knew the stat line before that, he was like 3 for 9. It
wasn't
last,
good.
last 19 shots.
Well, if you, even before that, they had said that he had done that he was a waste, that he wasn't very good because he scored 29 points in 4 games, and then the next 2 games he scored like 75 or something.
Yeah.
I mean he went insane the last 2 games.
Yeah, but he was not really playing well. But it's just something with the end of the game where he has to make the shot.
Well, did you know he doesn't have a gold medal until this one?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
None of them have been playing.
Yeah.
They've all been the NBA backup scrubs that have been playing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So the only literally what he says is the only gold medal. Only thing he's missing.
The only reason they played is because Noah Lyles called them out. That's the only reason they started playing. Who's the track star?
I didn't know Lyles is.
Yeah, is the only reason they played in this Olympics is because the last Olympics none of them played in it, and they almost got. I don't know if they even won gold. No, they did win gold.
They won gold.
But they almost got beat. And so they played, someone played, whoever won the champion, I don't remember who, someone tweeted out champions of the world. And Noah Lyles says, how are you champions of the world?
Right.
Yeah. So they
I actually saw that. I didn't know it was from.
Yeah. So they were like, okay, we're all going to play again. So you have Noah Lyles, I think, for them coming back and playing again.
So, all right. So 2 things. Number 1, did you see the female gold medal? The WNBA female girls, they almost lost to France.
No.
1 point, bro. They won by 1 point. I was so hoping they'd lose.
Well, Jokic almost beat the men by himself.
But when France women almost beat our women, I actually wanted them to lose so that they would feel bad for not putting a great shooter like Caitlin on their team. But it was pretty insane to even watch.
Was Angel Reese on the team?
Nope.
Okay, that makes me feel. If she was on
If
the
she'd
team,
been on the team, it'd have been
like,
horrible.
bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, it'd have been bad.
But typically, they've always had the men. The
men normally take one college student.
Yeah, they take a college player because back in the day it used to.
They
be,
stopped doing that.
It used to be what's his face. It was
He only did that once. I know you're talking about Leitner.
yeah Christian
Yeah.
Leitner. I mean
He was on that first big team.
Yeah, he was.
So here's my question to you, just for kicks. I had this argument on the basketball court this week. Everybody's saying this team that was assembled this time was the greatest team ever assembled.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they would have beat the original that dream team? Jordan, Magic, all them dudes.
Yes.
You think they'd have beat them?
Yeah. For one reason, they can shoot threes. Those guys could shoot threes, but you're not shooting 40% from. They weren't shooting 40%.
Yeah. The only reason I say no, and it's really the only reason, is because what they used to do is they used to pull people who were best at their positions. Mm-hmm. Now they just pull the best players.
Yeah.
And so Magic being at the point guard, and he distributes the ball in a way, it doesn't matter if you play with him or not. Like you've got LeBron distributing the ball some, and Curry a little, but you don't have people who are specialized in positions that play like a team. Mm-hmm. This team, I think the reason they struggled is because they didn't know how to play with each other. I think the old team would have beat them because they played more team ball.
Yeah.
I think that's why France and all these other teams, especially Serbia, dude, you see the Serbia game?
Yeah.
They almost got beat just off of 2 minutes pick and roll.
That's what I'm saying. Jokic almost beat them by himself.
But it wasn't even Jokic. I mean, it was Jokic.
Bogdanovich was okay.
All they did was set screens, and he passed it to the guy down low all day.
Yeah.
It was like,
Well, that's how the Nuggets run their offense. It's exactly how they run their
right.
offense.
But so take that, right? And then remember that John Stockton and Karl Malone were on that team, and that's what they ran too. So
true.
you would have had that plus Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Jordan on the same team. I don't think there's any way they beat them unless Curry gets
that's not
hot.
even the better question is who is I don't even think this team would be the better question. I think the 2004 team would have been a better question. That was I think the best Olympic team they'd ever had when they had Kobe, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and all those guys on the team. I don't think any team beats that team.
I don't think there's a question whether or not this was the most skilled team as players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think maybe they don't beat either of those teams. I don't see that. And people are like, well, the only reason the Dream Team won so bad is because the world wasn't as good. I agree with that completely.
That is very true.
Absolutely. But I don't agree just because they won by 40 every game doesn't mean they wouldn't have beat this team by 10 because they play as a team. And that's really the one thing I really don't like about Curry, and it's not Curry's fault, is he's ruined the game because every single high school team that I watch, they run a Curry offense with no Curry. And what is a Curry offense? When you get the ball, shoot it. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a high school team last year, and I can't even think. It's going to sound absurd, but I'll have to go look it up. Now I'm going to have to go look it up. But I want to say they average 200 shots a game because their coach literally
Shoot for the logo.
Yeah, the coach literally says, take the ball, get it across half court, and shoot it. And they average like 200 shots a game. I think they're like at 12%. It's the Curry effect, man.
Unfortunately, if you don't make them, you lose. But if you do make them, you can't lose. Like it's that, and that's why I say that I don't think they could beat them because they're not shooting 40% from the 3-point line. And if you can do that, you can beat any.
But I think if you're passing like they used to pass, I think you score almost every time.
You can't keep up with threes by hitting twos. It just from how good they.
But if you're shooting 70 or 80% from inside, and the other shoots 40 from the outside, you're winning. And those guys,
they're not. The problem is they're not always just shooting threes, and they're not always just shooting twos. They shoot threes too.
No, I know. I'm just saying the passing ability of the old school players and the movement of the old school players is far better than what they do now. And it's because everyone now creates their own shot. The reason Serbia did so well is because they create shots for one another. But if you put the Dream Team and have them doing what Serbia was doing with pick and rolls, bro, I think they're more than you can handle. Especially when your outlet pass, when John Stockton and Karl Malone do their thing and it doesn't work, and your outlet pass is to Jordan. Come on, man. Or Bird.
This recent team, they're all used to isolation. So it's like you have a whole team of guys that run isolation. So that run ISO. So like,
yeah. And Jordan's like, I invented that.
He's like, set a pick.
What's a pick?
What is that? It's when you do. Oh, what the other people do for me.
How about this? How about this one? After you pick, roll inside. No, I roll to the outside.
Well, they have Embiid. Embiid will do that, but.
Well, it's like when I play basketball at DOSREC, which I don't play there anymore for this reason. Every time they set a screen, every time I run around it and they roll out. I'm like, dude, you are not Curry. Stop.
That's how Curry ruined the game.
Yep.
For sure. And there's nothing wrong with rolling out.
No,
but you got to know the defense.
And you better be a better shooter than me.
Yeah.
Because if your screen works and I'm open for a three, why would I give you the ball to shoot a three?
If they're going to play you in the paint, then roll out. But if they're not going to play you in the paint, then go.
Well, the last time I did it, the guy was wide open. And he saw he was wide open, and he still rolled out. And I went ahead and passed the ball in the lane, and just threw it away. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I thought the ghost wanted to play because this is where you should have been." Anyway, he was probably pretty mad at me.
Yeah, no, it's just having the feel for the game that people just don't do anymore. They're just like, I'm not going to play what the defense gives me. I'm going to go shoot my three.
So you know what we need to do in this podcast now is you need to have a button that says if you want just the spiritual stuff and not any sports, skip till 12 minutes and 36 seconds.
Oh, I'm not going to do that because if you like this podcast, you have to listen to it.
There you go.
No, but if you do want to skip it, right now would be the time.
Yeah,
this
skip
is where
to
we're
here. Ready to go. Too late.
Whoops. Anyway, okay, so let's answer this question and move on to the what do you call it? Sermon. That's what it's called. And then we'll close it out from there. Okay. This is from the podcast that you weren't here. Great podcast. So good. So good. You hit the button, Missy. Just push a button.
Find one. Just
Push a button. That's it. There it is. That could have worked.
it's
That could have worked.
too late now.
Said, love this for someone, or here's the question, by the way. Love this for someone who was saved at such a young age. It's hard to tell people what my life was like before Christ. Obviously, he has done work in my life along the way, but I have a hard time conveying my testimony to people in a way that is relatable. How can I better put my testimony into words?
Don't go trying to find a testimony now. I'm gonna go do drugs so that I have a good testimony.
To make your testimony
No, don't
better.
do that. Don't do that. Well, first of all, let me just say this. It is not just a saying. It is a truth. That if your testimony is that you gave your life to Christ at a young age, that is the greatest testimony in the world. Because it means that you were obedient to Christ early in life. Here's the problem, is that we've bought into the idea that the greatest testimony really is to have drugs and alcohol and abuse and all these things in your life. It's not. Here's the thing, a testimony is good. Testimony is your story, but your story it may make you more relatable, right? That's what they're worried about. I don't know if it's a he or she, but that this person is wanting to be relatable. Here's the problem. You don't need to be relatable. In order to share the gospel with somebody and they get saved, it's not about how you relate to them. It's about the gospel and it's about how the Spirit moves their heart. You can't save people. Your testimony won't save people. All you can do is share your testimony. And so what I would do is I would do what I actually tell people all the time. Don't focus so much on your past life. Focus more on what Christ is doing in your life today. That's still a testimony. For instance, let me give you a testimony about today. I went to Willie's today with Pastor Jimmy. And while I was there, there was a young lady, not our waitress, but she walked past me. And I could just see something in her face that it just looked like she was frustrated. And the Lord said, give her some money. And I thought, she's not even our waitress.
Is she telling you that right now, too?
No, he's not.
Right,
and she's not even our waitress. And the Lord said, I didn't just give her money. She's frustrated. You need to give her money. Okay. So I took a 20 and I asked our waitress, can you get me 4 5s? I'm going to give her $5. And as my waitress is gone with the money, the Lord said, boy, you're cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
I was
like, man.
I was like, bruh. So I reached in, I grabbed a 20 and I pulled her aside. I said, what's your name? She told me her name. And I said, do you believe in God? She said, yes, of course I do. I said, okay. And I took the 20 out, gave it to her. I said, God told me to give you this. I just need you to know that. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Why would you do this? I said, I just told you why. Mm-hmm. I said, I really feel like God's told me to tell you that you need to stop worrying about money. Don't be frustrated and don't be seeking it in other places because God has got you. And she didn't cry, but she got to that place, and she almost made me cry. She got to that place where she was really vulnerable. And she said, I was praying about this last night. And I asked the Lord, something about trusting. And I don't remember what she said, but she said, I prayed about this last night. And this is the answer to that prayer. And bro, it was huge. And so from that, I got her name. I invited her to church. She's probably coming. We'll see. We'll see if she comes. But it was really a cool testimony. So what happens? She goes back and obviously tells everybody what's happened.
They all want $20.
They do. So our waitress came back and she goes, how come you didn't ask me if I believed in God? She goes, is it because of my tattoos? I was like, what? And Jimmy goes, I'm guessing it's not because of tattoos. It just shows his arms.
You should have been like, yes.
Yes, it is. Anyway, there's only room for one of us.
Yeah.
But, I was able to speak to her about the Lord as well. And so, again, I mean, and somebody can say you related because you gave her something, but I didn't want to give her money. I did what God told me to. But the point is, for instance, it would have been really good then for me to share the gospel with her because maybe then she comes to Christ. But that's not what the Spirit led me to do. So your goal isn't, and I need to make sure you catch this, the goal of sharing your testimony is not to save people. Did you know that? Did you know that? That's not the goal. If that's the goal, if that's the measure of success, you'll always be disappointed.
Yeah.
The goal is to be faithful with the gospel. And so the gospel is not your testimony. The testimony gets you to the gospel. So I say it this way. Find a way to tell your testimony in like a minute. And then make sure that you give God's testimony, which is the gospel. Jesus left heaven, lived a perfect life, died on a cross, was raised to life, now intercedes for us in heaven. That's the story that makes a difference. And then the Lord can use the little bit of your testimony, what God's doing in your life, not as much find what he's done, but man, talk about what he's doing in your life, how he speaks, how he works, and then what the gospel says about him. And then hopefully the Spirit leads them to the point where they want to be saved. But that's not the goal. The goal is to be faithful with the testimony, be faithful with the gospel. So if you're faithful in sharing, then you'll reap a reward, or you'll reap a harvest, but it won't be a harvest that you get to dictate or control. That's the Spirit's job. So I would say don't worry so much about your past testimony or relating so much. Just be faithful with what God's doing and saying in your life.
It's weird. I don't really share my testimony that much, to be honest with you. I talk about God a lot, but I rarely share my testimony.
Shame on you.
Yeah, it is. Everybody tell me shame in the comments
Shame on you.
and leave a dislike.
Bad host.
No. I don't know why. It just never really crosses my mind. I do, however, whenever...
Wait, can I tell you why?
Why?
Because it's not your plan. See, every one of us has a plan. If you have no plan, then you won't share even about God. You have a plan. Your plan is you probably listen. I'm just guessing. You probably listen, and when you hear something that you know something about or an answer to a question, you pipe in, and hopefully that steers the conversation in a direction in which
That's
you
exactly what I do.
Good. So that is a plan, right? So you have a plan. I also have a plan. But my plan is I listen to or look for bad situations or good, whatever situations. I try to listen for ways to open a conversation, but I'm trying very quickly to get to my testimony so that I can give them the story of Jesus.
Okay.
So I have a plan. So whatever your plan is what you'll do.
So what's a good way to, because that is exactly what I do. I listen to conversations, like if my friends are talking or whatever, I'll listen to conversations, they'll say something, and then I'll kind of just steer the conversation in a way that like maybe hopefully influences another conversation. Well, what's a good way to go about that?
I got your answer.
Okay.
It's a quick line. Six words. That reminds me of a story. Say it.
That reminds me of a story.
That reminds me of a story. That is the way I transition from information to testimony. That reminds me of a story.
Okay.
Now, what has to happen is I have to ask the right questions or probe enough so that they say something that reminds me of a story from the Bible, right? So, for instance, one time I was at a gas station in Africa, South Africa.
By the way, I really feel like it's not that hard to do. Someone will tell me a story, I'm like, oh man, I feel like David did that, or like I'll say
Exactly. It's
like,
not hard.
And they're like, oh, I struggle with doubt. There's a guy who doubted.
Right. So I was in this gas station and I walked inside and this guy goes, he says, hey, can you give me some money? And I was like, what do you need money for? Food. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll buy you some food. And how about we do that? I said, you don't have any money? I don't have any money. I said, well, do you have a relationship with God? He goes, well, I'm just trying to find my own way. And I said, that's funny. That reminds me of a story. And then I told him the story of the prodigal son who had his dad had money. He tells his dad, He's a brother. He's got a brother. He tells his dad, "Give me all the money I'm going to get when you die.
Give me my inheritance.
Give me my inheritance, and I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm looking to find my own." He doesn't say I'm going to find my own way, but that's literally what he's doing. And so I stated it that way. He said, "Give me the money, and let me go find my own way." So the father lets him. And so he goes and finds his own way, and he lives a really bad way, and finds himself living amongst the pigs.
In the pig pen.
Wanting to eat the food that the pigs were eating. And then he comes to himself and says, "Man, all of the servants in my father's house are well kept and fed. I'm going to go back to my father. I'm going to tell him I've sinned against him, and I'm asking him to forgive me. And then I'm just going to say, let me be one of your servants." Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So he gets up the next morning, he goes home, and while he's headed home, his father is out waiting for him. Like he has news he's coming. Runs to greet his son. As soon as he grabs him, he embraces his son, and his son goes, "No, Dad, wait. I have sinned against God and against you. No longer worthy to be called your son. Let me be your servant." And the father says, "Are you kidding me?" Well, he doesn't say that, but in the story I say, "Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me, son?"
He says, "You're my son." He says, "Go and get the robe, go and get his sandals, put the ring back on his finger, for my son who was lost has been found. My son who was dead is alive." And so he kills the fattened calf and has a party.
And then the other son.
We won't talk about the other son because it didn't matter the story in this case. So I said, "In that story, do you see yourself?" He said, "Man, like you don't even know." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do you know where I live?" I said, "No." He said, "I don't live amongst the pigs. I don't have a house, but this gas station lets me live in the bathroom." I was like, "Bro,
Ew.
that's nasty." And the bathrooms in Africa are bad. And
It was in Africa?
yeah, South Africa, just outside of Johannesburg.
Oh, okay.
And so, actually, we're on the way to the airport, so it's probably anyway, it's in South Africa near the airport. And so I went outside, I shared the gospel with him, and I actually led him to Christ. He gave his life to Jesus. And because I told him, I said, "Your Father in heaven's waiting for you to return as well. You just got to confess that you're a sinner, ask Jesus to be Lord." Anyway, so he did that. So I called a friend of mine who lived there, gave him his phone number, told him where he was, gave that guy my friend's phone number, and then we're going to get him involved in a church. So then I went outside so it should have been over, right? So then I went outside, and I said, "Do you work here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you love Jesus?" He says, "I do." I said, "Tell me your testimony." So he told me his story about giving. And when people tell me their testimony, if it doesn't include, "I gave my life to Jesus," or "I confess Jesus as Lord," I then stop him at the end and say, I give him my testimony. I say, "Now, in my testimony, you heard I gave my life to Jesus. I confess Jesus as Lord." I didn't hear that in yours.
Yeah, do you just go like in the middle and just go,
No, I
wrong,
don't. But I will say to them, I didn't hear that. And that's missing. And without that, you can't be in Christ. But he did. He had the right statement in there that he had confessed Christ as Lord. And so I said, "Can you be trusted?" He said, "Yes." So I gave him money. And I said, "I want you for the next 2 weeks, every time he asks for food, I want you to buy him some food." And then I gave him extra money. He said, "What's this money for?" I said, "This is just because you're faithful." And I gave him money for himself and money to take care of this man. Anyway, I tell you all that to tell you, I listen until I hear something that reminds me of a Bible story, or ask questions until I hear it. And then I'll say, "Man, that reminds me of a story." And I tell them the story. I don't say it's from the Bible all the time. I just tell them a story. And then I ask them, "Do you see yourself in that story?" And if they do, then I say, "Cool." They tell me how. And then I tell them how I see myself in that story. So I tell a 2-minute story to tell about a minute of my story, so that I can tell them a 30-second clip of Jesus' story. And then I ask them what's their story. Because I'm hoping that they'll want a new story in Jesus. So I've taught that before in a gospel presentation is, you tell them a story to get to your story, to get to his story, to give them a new story.
To make his story.
His story. That's right. That's exactly right. Good,
Shout out Drake.
What in the world?
Anyway, so how many people have you saved?
None.
Are you score? So you don't keep a scorecard?
How can I? I don't save them. That's the Lord's.
Mine?
Whatever. That's the Lord's business.
No, that's true.
By the way, you don't know who you save. All you know is who professes a profession of faith. So we've stopped saying we had 12 saved this week. We say we had 12 professions of faith because we don't know.
Yeah. But isn't a confession of faith mean you're saved?
You would think, but what if
The
it's
Bible
not
says
real?
that.
But what if it's
They
not?
confess with their mouth that he is Lord, they will be saved.
And believe in his heart, God raised from the dead.
Yeah, they always. That's what I meant.
Yeah, they'll
but
be
they're
saved.
confessing with their mouth that
you
he was
look,
raised from the dead.
I would think they are saved, but I say profession of faith because I don't know if they're just giving lip service. I don't know.
What Bible verse is that?
Which
Trivia.
one?
The one I just said.
Romans 10:9. Rahmanaikan Jesosi, hutumpo amni vavano, you know.
Sounds nothing like what I just
Arimino
said.
amni funa.
That's wrong.
Hey, would you wait a minute? I'm telling you the story. Romans 10:9. Rahmanaikan Jesosi, hutumpo amni vavano, you know. Arimino amni funa hu anje manacha efanananganaz temati dra hu vunjena no. That's Romans 10:9 in the Malagasy tongue.
Shabba ding dong.
No, that's not it.
Amen.
That's not it.
All right. Anyway, let's move on to the sermon because we are burning daylight.
Oh, I thought we were going to be short. What happened to that?
We had to do the sermon. I already put it in the. I already prefaced.
I'm kidding. I knew we weren't going to be short.
I don't know if you're kidding or not. Wait, what?
I knew we weren't going to be short.
No.
I'm involved.
Yeah, I underestimate your ability not to be able to shut up.
Exactly. Exactly.
See, I was gonna say like
I
not.
spent 27 minutes doing an Olympic recap, so that's why it went long.
Hey, Missy.
Who's
Missy.
I
we?
got Mike now.
Missy.
Who's we?
Missy. You're talking too much.
Who's we? No, I was definitely involved.
I'm not done with the Olympics.
Honestly, the problem is for me is I don't talk a lot, but if you get me, you start talking about sports, those are my trigger words. Like that'll get me going forever.
Well, if you want to be a good high jumper, go watch the girl from Belgium, maybe? No. Shoot, where's she from? I forget. The world record holder in the high jump for the girls has the best form I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go watch her.
I'm serious, bro. She does everything that I coach to a degree that I can't even understand. It's amazing.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on from that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna even entertain.
Hey, you should entertain it. She is. I'm gonna tell you where she's from, though. So just in case, I think it's Algeria, actually.
Algeria.
No, she's from the Ukraine.
Boxers from.
She's from the Ukraine. She is insane, bro. Her form is so picture perfect. It is ridiculous.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Shout out to her.
did you answer the question?
What was the question? Testimony?
Stop worrying about trying to be relatable.
Yeah, because the purpose of the reason you share the gospel is because the Lord's told you to. The reason you tell your testimony is because the Lord's told you to. So don't worry about trying to convince someone to be a Christian. Matter of fact, I love what Paul says. Paul says in the Bible, he says, "I'm glad that I did not use persuasive words, lest the cross be emptied of its power." Yeah, so it's not about you being persuasive. It's simply about being faithful with what God's giving you.
Yeah,
So don't worry about saving them.
I don't think that was her point of trying to be
it's not.
persuasive.
It's not, but she's wanted to be relatable because the idea is if I'm relatable with my story, they'll want to listen. But the truth is, if the Spirit's involved, they'll listen.
Yeah.
If the Spirit's not involved, they won't. So you don't have to worry about that.
I think it definitely can be frustrating if you haven't had any, I guess, real problem. Obviously, she's had real problems, but problems in their life that are like as bad or to the detriment as they've had. I don't even know if that's the right way to say
It
it
is.
but
But people will say,
how
how
do
do
you
you
fall on deaf ears? Like how
will you know what I
How
go
would you
through?
know?
Yeah.
Have you ever did meth in a gas station? No.
right?
Bathroom while you live there?
Well, that's
in Johannesburg?
But that's exactly the point. You don't have to be there because the gospel is presentable, and when the Holy Spirit moves, it's not about whether or not you relate. It's about whether they listen.
I also don't think you can't relate to everyone. It's just not
Without
possible.
lying.
It's not possible.
Without lying.
Yeah, it's not possible.
I know a lot of people who will lie in order to relate. So I would say that's never a good idea.
I was talking to Poppy. I think it was Poppy about that video. This lady's like walking around Walmart. She's like, "You love Jesus, whatever." She's like, just berating people about Jesus, and then they're like, "No, leave me alone, lady. I'm trying to save you."
Oh, I've seen that
like
video.
Yelling at them.
Yeah, you're not doing a really good job.
So good. Anyway, that's how people were when I was was a child. It was always like fire and brimstone kind of stuff like that. Anyway,
It's my favorite story. They were in a revival, and the girl brought her heathen boyfriend, and he didn't walk the aisle, and she took a lighter and burnt his arm. And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" She goes, "You don't like that? You better give your life to Jesus because hell's gonna be hotter than that." Yeah, Probably not the way to save folks. I'm just saying.
Not how it works.
Well, it might work.
It is
probably not.
but
Probably not a good
lighting
practice.
people on fire.
Probably not the practice.
Yeah. I think everybody has to come to the realization that they're damned if they don't. I think it's a big part of being a Christian is like, this is going to be really bad for me, as well as there's a God that loves me too. So
I just talked to somebody yesterday about why is it that everybody waits, like till they have nothing. And I'm like, bro, even if you have everything, it's not until you realize you're going to die and that you're mortal and that you need Jesus that you ask Jesus to be Lord. So the truth is, all of us come to an end of ourselves before we give our lives to Christ.
I was thinking about the other day. The only time that I think that doesn't happen is if like you just die suddenly from like a freak accident or something like that. Because I think people on their deathbed, I would say,
how could you not?
There's no one that's like an atheist on their deathbed. Like I don't think there's any way that's possible.
I don't know.
And obviously there's outliers of people, but a lot of people, I mean, deathbed confessions are a thing. That's why
it's called that.
Yeah. If there's a name for it, it probably happened a lot. Anyway. All
right. Sermon.
Move on to your sermon.
Yeah.
Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
Anyway, I wasn't there. I wasn't expecting
I know you're an Astros game.
I wasn't expecting to do this today, so didn't do a whole lot of research. So why don't you give me the rundown like I wasn't there.
All right.
Like I was there.
Okay. The sermon was about we are family. That's what it's about.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Like, subscribe.
No, it was really because we were having back to church. I knew there were going to be people there.
Yes.
So I did a sermon.
By the way, I was actually on the way to Houston.
Yeah.
And I was telling my wife, hey, turn on church so we can watch it at 9. But the game started at, I had to be there at, the game started, it was at 12 or 1, I don't remember. But we were already in there at 11, so we wouldn't be able to watch it.
No.
And she was like, they don't start at 9, dummy.
It's 11.
Yeah. So that's a problem for me.
Yeah, well, sorry.
By the way.
No, so the sermon, I pulled from Acts 2. I talked about what the early church was like. Who is church? Who's the family? How do you know? Like, one of the things that always bothers me is the reason a lot of people don't come to church is because of all the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And, man, what if, like Bill Engvall says, right, here's your sign. What if we really could wear a sign that says, I really am a Christian? Or, nah. like if that's what we could say, just, I'm not. Because we get mad when people hold us accountable. But man, if I'm really in Christ, I want to be held accountable. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of wish people would come to church with a sign that says, nah. And if it says nah, then I'll leave you alone and let you do your thing. But if you really are a Christian, then as another believer, I should be willing, ready, and prepared to say to you, bro, why are you living like that? Like, that isn't a good example of who Christ is. We should do better. How can I help? But instead, what we do is we don't do that at all. And if we do it, we're like, I'm trying to save you, man. We're ugly.
I'm trying to save you.
And so
it's a funny line.
And so the deal is, if we're really family, we should love each other. And that's over 100 times in the New Testament, it says each other. That God expects us to live with each other, to love each other. He says, they will know you by how you love one another. They'll know your mind by how you love. We talked about how in marriage, that's a big deal. If when you're, like, for instance, you really have never had an opportunity to love your wife like Christ loves her. Or I'm sorry, you never really have an opportunity to love your wife like Christ loves you until your wife really does you wrong. Like if your wife cheated on you, then you would have an opportunity to love her like Christ loves you. Because we cheat on God all the time.
Don't tell your wife to go cheat on you.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is whatever is the worst thing your spouse could do to you, or whatever the second or third or fourth worst thing they can do to you, it's not until then that you get to actually test whether or not you really love them. Because love is not a feeling. Love is not an emotion. Love is a decision. And Christ decided to love me. And so it isn't until I fail him that that love is tested. And so when a spouse says, I'm out, all you're saying is that you think God should quit on you too. Because marriage is supposed to paint a picture about what a relationship with Christ looks like. So the whole point Sunday was, if we're family, it shouldn't just be marriages. If we're family, we should all love each other that way. I saw a girl not very long ago. I forgot where she was. I forgot even the context of where we were. But I looked at her and she was struggling. And I looked at her and I said, can I say something to you? Can I just say this to you? I love you. And I can see her looking at me like, creeper.
Yeah.
I said, but I need you to understand that kind of, it was at youth camp. That's where it was. I said, I need you to understand I don't mean I want to be with you. That doesn't mean anything creepy or sexual or perverted. It doesn't mean that I know you or even have to know you. I love you. That means I'm committed to whatever it takes for you to become who God's called you to be. And that's what I mean by that. And so I looked at her and I said, what's your greatest need? And she said, and she started sharing her testimony with me. And so I said, the greatest thing I can do for you, because she didn't need money, she didn't need clothes, she was dealing with some spiritual things. I said, the greatest thing I can do is pray for you. And so I prayed for her. I gave her my contact information. I said, if you need me to pray, if you need something, you call me. But our world thinks that's weird. Now, here's what else is funny. If you watch these stupid videos where these guys go and try to rizz up some girl, and as soon as they rizz them up, as soon as I got their phone number, they're like, all right, love you too. That means nothing. Like, they're saying love, and it means nothing. It's lost all meaning. When I say to somebody, and I told my son this one time, and it doesn't matter that it's my son, it's anybody. If you say to a girl, I love you, or if you say to a boy, this is even more important, because, boys will be the ones in relationships who will say, I love you, won't you do this with me? Right? They're the ones that'll pull that out. If you say to a boy, I love you, then what you're really saying is, I'll do anything that you need. Which is why that kind of love is reserved for marriage. Because it shouldn't be till I'm married that I'm willing to give up what God's told me to reserve till marriage. Sex is not supposed to be done outside of marriage.
So you shouldn't even say I love you till you're married.
Love, if you say I love you, what you're saying is, I'm willing to give you everything. That's what love is. Love is a decision to do whatever it takes for that person to have what they need. And so the truth is, if we get to the basis of things, most people don't love their girlfriend or boyfriend. They really like them and they really need them because they're emotionally, insignificant without them and dependent on them. But love, I told my son, I said, if you're going to tell her you love her, then when she says, I need you, then you got to give her what she needs. I said, be careful. Because love, that's what love really is. We're redefining love now as it's not even like. It's just like I like seeing you. Oh, therefore I love you. It's not true. And so the family of God should love one another. That doesn't mean I like you. I may not like you at all. But if you're God's child and I'm God's child, I should still be committed to helping you become who God's called you to be. That's called love. So if we're family, we should love each other, even when we don't like each other. And I've told the story with Michael Mata in middle school, elementary school, where Chris and I were mad at each other. We hated each other. We were mad, fighting. And Michael Mata came out and said one ugly thing about me, and Chris whooped his behind. Actually, we did it together. But even though we didn't like each other, my brother loved me. Mm-hmm. And so even though we were on really bad terms, we weren't going to allow the enemy to speak bad about each other. And that's what church should be like. Church should be like, even if I don't like you, I'm not going to let anyone speak about you, maybe other than me, because we're family.
Now, how do you treat people that you don't like in church? Because not everybody likes each other in church.
Well, that's a great question. Don't go any further.
Do you mush them?
That's a great
when
question.
You see them,
that's a great
push
question.
their face like that and say, "Get out of here, nerd."
No.
Do you?
The biblical answer is you treat them like Christ treats you. So figure it out. When you do God wrong, how does he treat you? Wait, I'm going to ask you questions. Does he yell at you?
He could.
Does he?
I sometimes maybe.
Have you heard the Lord yell at you?
The Holy Spirit's been really raging up sometimes.
Right, but did he yell?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you didn't hear him yell.
I can't hear him anyway.
Well, Do you feel condemned by him?
No.
Yeah, me neither. That's my point. Yelling is normally a condemnation kind of thing. And that's not how God works. And so we shouldn't do that either. Our words to people shouldn't be condemning.
Let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
When Jesus was overturning tables and whipping people, was he whispering at them?
No.
Was he going, I love you?
Yeah, I love you. No, there is a place for righteous indignation.
Okay.
There's certainly a place for it.
So he can yell.
But listen to me. Those were not his brothers.
I understand that.
I know, but that's the Bible doesn't here in this part. We're talking about family. He's not saying you're supposed to pray for those who persecute you and love your enemies and stuff. But there's a place.
I'm just using it as more of the commandment he gives.
Absolutely. I'm just saying there is a place. There's a place to be angry.
I understand.
And to act out. But even in his acting out, he didn't sin. Because all he did was he returned the temple back to the place it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a place of prayer. And so had they repented immediately, he would have let him right back in. But they didn't. They looked to crucify him after that.
Yeah, the only reason I brought that up is because it seems like love your neighbor as you love yourself, but that doesn't say like love another Christian like you. It's just love everyone that like you would yourself. So, but Jesus did whip people and throw tables over. So
Yeah.
those are his neighbors.
Yeah, but again, there's a place for righteous indignation. The problem is, I'm 52 years old. I can imagine. There's only one time in my life, maybe two, where I can say I would have had the right to be ugly. Really, the spiritual right to be ugly. Every other time, it's because I'm defending me.
Right.
I'm not defending.
It's a pride thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just really the question of if I don't like someone, whether they are a Christian or not a Christian, how do I treat that person?
Like you want to be treated.
Right. But does that mean I have to?
Okay. First of all, we can stop right there. No, you don't have to do anything.
No. I'm talking about biblically.
But even biblically, you don't have to do anything. You're told to do it, but if you don't, he's still going to love you.
I know, but I'm talking about
What you should do.
what I should do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say without sinning.
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't use the word have to. What
When
you
I say
should do.
have to, it's like I have to do this, or if not,
Or it's
I
a sin. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
that's the have to.
Okay.
So, I mean, when it comes to, because people think that whenever there's someone in your life that you don't like, maybe you don't mistreat them or whatever, but you're like, I'm just not going to talk to that person. I'm just kind of going to stay away from them
Right.
because they always bring drama. They're
Right.
always crazy.
Yeah, and you're asking, is that okay?
I'm asking, where's the threshold between turning it from love to where it's not love? Because it's like, I'm not mistreating you, but I'm keeping you at a very far distance, and I really don't want anything to do with it.
So let me ask you a question. When you sin, are you still close to God?
Depends on...
No, I'm asking you. Don't depend me.
No, I'm saying depends on the sin and how much I've been doing it and if it's become a problem for me.
Okay, so when you sin, do you feel less close to God?
Yes,
Okay. Why is that?
because I'm putting sin in between our relationship.
Right, so sin separates you. Right? Most people think sin doesn't separate Christians. It does. Sin separates our fellowship with God. That's what I also talked about this on Sunday. Sin separates our fellowship. I'm still his. The back of my shirt still says child of God. I'm still his child. But we're on
It's not him separating though. It's obviously it's me separating myself.
But he separates himself from sin too. He doesn't want to be around sin. And so, or he can't be around sin, the Bible says actually. So sin, it's our choice. Sin, we separate ourselves from God and he separates.
You just brought up a whole nother topic.
I know,
I
but-
think he can be around sin. I think he chooses not to. Because Job wouldn't make any sense.
Well, that you're right. That's a whole other subject. We should bring Dr. Dutton in for that one.
Okay.
But because God and sin can't cohabitate, let's say it that way.
Yeah.
Your sin breaks fellowship with him. I'm still his child. We're just not talking. And I can't hear him because sin has deafened me. When I restore that fellowship, how do I do that? 1 John 1:9. I confess my sins. He's faithful and just to forgive me, cleanse me from all unrighteousness. So I confess that sin. Man, I'm immediately right back with him. Now, what does confess mean? Confess simply means to agree with God. God, I agree. I screwed up. God goes, whoop. We're back together, baby. We brought the family back together. Now, when there's
So
someone,
it truly is him separating. Even how can he separate from you if you're his though?
well, he's only separating fellowship. That's the problem. It's a speaking thing. So if my dad is not happy with me because I disobeyed him, does that mean if a robber comes in the door, he's going to throw me to the wolves? No, he's still going to protect me. At that point, everything else goes out the window because I'm his kid.
Okay,
that's the same
he's
thing.
only distancing fellowship.
Right, exactly right.
So party time. No more party.
No more party time until you get it right. And so that's why we talked about two words, familiar versus familial. So familiar, and the problem is in Spanish, it's the same word. So clínica familiar is family clinic. But familiar in Spanish means both friends and family. In English, familiar means or friend. Family is something completely different. And it's possible to be in a church and be familiar with God and familiar with his people. That's what Hebrews 5 or 6. When it talks about can someone who's tasted of the good works, who's tasted of this, can they be restored to faith? No, they can't, right? And people think you can lose your salvation. I don't think that's what it means. I think the point of that passage is there are people who are familiar with every stance that God has. They're familiar with the church, familiar with the Lord's Supper, familiar with the work of the Holy Spirit, but they've never been family.
Yeah, but
will
they do what it takes to become a Christian?
Right. Will they return? And the whole idea is they were Jews, came to Christianity, tried it out, and went back to Judaism. Had they gone somewhere else and tried something else, maybe you could restore them to
They
Christianity.
tried the culture out.
Right. That's what I mean. They tried the church out. And then if they'd have moved on to some other thing, maybe they could come back. But if they move back to the place they've been their whole life, they're not coming back to Christianity.
This was that's very true. And I'm trying to say this without sounding racist.
Well, the point in all that is this, is it's possible to be completely familiar with God, but not be family.
Yeah.
And so that's where I ended the sermon Sunday is the question really is twofold. Number one, are you God's family? You can't be God's family unless Jesus is not familiar with you, but if he's your Lord. And then if he is your Lord and every other person in the church is his servant, stop talking bad about his other servants. Love them like he loves you.
Okay, but you didn't really answer my question.
Well, I didn't know what the question was.
The question is, would it be a sin for me to distance myself from someone that I
No,
don't like
that was the point I was making. Okay. So when you break fellowship with God, it's because of your sin. When other people sin against you, you can.
But it doesn't have to be they're sinning against me. Maybe they're just like they're annoying and I don't like listening to them talk, or maybe just like they just bug me.
That's almost never true. Normally, the reason we separate ourselves from people is because of something that's happened. It's not just because they're annoying. It's because something's wrong. They've done something wrong or whatever. But distancing from someone doesn't mean you don't love them. Because like my brother, good example, my brother and I were mad at each other, but when I was in trouble or whatever, Chris came to my aid.
Yeah.
So just because you don't like being around them doesn't mean you don't love them. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't. You should love them even if they irritate the fire out of you. Yeah. I know people in my life who irritate the fire out of me. I still love them to death. And if the Lord tells me to help them, I'm helping them today.
Good.
And I know I irritate the dog mess out of some people.
Let me clear up the Jew thing that I was going to say that was racist.
Goodness.
It wasn't racist. I said you were talking about going back to Jewish tradition. I was like, especially Jews, if they go back to the tradition, they're not coming back because, I mean, there's even today it's so popular in their culture. Like they don't even most of them are atheists now, and they're still doing all the Jewish traditions that they have. I mean, it's so
because it's cultural.
Yeah. Anyway, that would have been a good conversation to have had last week when we were talking about culture. You didn't watch the episode.
I watched some of it. I haven't finished it.
So,
I didn't even know it was out too yesterday.
Christianity, and it just pretty much goes over all of that. People trying out God and things like that. But it was mostly like there's a difference between Christians. Well, I was just saying there's a big difference between cultural Christianity and actual Christianity.
Well, let me give you for example when I lived in Madagascar, and hopefully this relates to you. When I was in Madagascar, I was learning Malagasy, and we were trying to speak it all the time. Like that was the rule. We're going to try to speak it home, in the marketplace. We're going to try to speak it all the time. What do you think I did when I got frustrated?
Went back to English.
Immediately back to English because I don't want to think about it when I'm mad.
Yeah. He was like, this idea was this. It's stupid.
This is dumb. Anyway, so by the way, I just said this is crazy, man. But that's, I think, what happens with cultural Christians is they come to church, they try it out, but when they get frustrated, they go back to what they know. Mm-hmm. That's the same. That's why I use language as that idea, because the minute frustration, look, it's not until you're trialed, until you have a trial, that you know whether or not it's true. There's no way. Mm-hmm. So that's why the Bible says that God is testing us. God allows tests in our life to prove what's going on. Matter of fact, I heard a little kid on video the other day saying, you don't have a testimony until you've walked through the test. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
And just because you pass the test don't mean you get the money. Testimony. Anyway, I saw it online.
Wow,
it was pretty funny.
Terrible.
Well, hey, people believe that, though. People believe that if you're faithful under trial, he'll give you money.
Well, because most of the time the trial is money, but yeah.
Well, in America, for sure.
Yeah. Or you think it's money. Most of the time people just have horrible spending habits and like, oh God, this trial is horrible for me.
Bro.
Like, how about just stop buying things that you don't need?
Now you're I got people in my life.
I'm guilty of it. So I'm preaching to myself.
I got people in my life right now who every month are in financial trouble. And they're like, I don't know. God won't answer my prayer. God's not coming through. And I'm like, bro, the fact that you get to call and complain every month means he's come through every month. Mm-hmm. And here's the problem. He's come through more than he should have, because if it had been me, I'd have cut you off years ago. Because, dude, if your family doesn't have what it takes to live, stop doing things that cost money. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like when I got back from Madagascar. This is such a bad illustration. I'm going to make myself look bad. I got back from Africa, and the first person that came to church that I mean, really, it must have been the first week I was back, came and said, hey, can I get some money from the church? I said, what's going on? What's going on? He said, man, my cable bill's out or something, and I can't get cable. I was like, boy, you better walk out that door right now. Cable? Are you serious? Like, that's a need. Like, who thinks that's a need? Mm-hmm. Even AC. I mean, I know we need AC when it's 105 degrees. I get that. But you can go to a mall for the whole day. Not to mention, if you have electricity, you can use a fan. In Madagascar, I had no, it was AC. It wasn't cable. He said AC. And I said, bro, it's like 92 outside. He goes, right, it's 92. I said, it was 91 in my house in Madagascar. All I had was water on my body and a fan hitting me. Get away from me before I get mad. I was angry, really, because we think these things are necessities. But the truth is they're only necessities because we want what everybody else has. Mm-hmm. So do what's best for your family. Stop doing what you want to do. Mm-hmm. It really frustrates me.
There's a big difference in living comfortably and living in luxury. And most of us live in so much luxury that if we think it's comfort.
Yeah, and then when something goes wrong, we try to keep living to the standard we've always lived in.
And that doesn't mean you can't have like cable or anything like that. And that's not what I mean. But like going out every day to eat, doing all this stuff. We think it's like, that's my comfortable living. That's your luxury. You just perverted luxury living so much that you think that's what you need to live comfortable. Yeah. You don't really need much. Yeah. When people tell me, oh man, I have friends. I've had friends.
My blood pressure's up right now.
Yeah,
too.
I've had friends that tell me, I don't want a kid. I'm not financially stable for it. I'm like, that's
never going to happen.
People that have 7 kids and they're fine.
Yeah,
because kids aren't they're not as expensive as you think they are. And there's other avenues that you can take if you're really that poor, but you really don't need that much.
Yeah, the government will give you money.
Exactly. You don't need that much money to take care of a kid. So it's like. And by the way, if you have that mindset, you'll never have enough money to take care of it.
Now, how about this one? I'll get married when I have enough money. Bro, you don't have enough money. You'll never have enough money.
You need to get married because you don't have enough money.
Right, exactly. But I've got people who have called me before and said, man, I don't really know what to do. I'm like, why? They're like, man, I need to buy my kid a car. I'm like, you can't even pay your electric bill. Why are you looking at a car? Or how about this one? I love this one. I don't love this one. I hate this one. Someone says, my car's older. It's probably going to break down. I got to buy a new car. I'm like, you can't afford a new car. Yeah, but I just need a new car before it breaks down. Bro, why don't you pray and ask God not to let it break down? Because you can't afford $10,000 more in debt. And then they'll say, well, I'm just going to do it now. And they do it. And then I find out later that they turned the car in. They lost $10,000 on it. So they now put an
upside
extra
down on it,
$10,000, and so now they've given away their future.
They started off upside down.
Oh my gosh, it's just and like I remember as a kid, I had a car. You know what car I had? I had my mom's car. My mom came home from work and she let me take it, and normally I wrecked it. I wrecked her car about every year. But here's the thing: I didn't have my own car for a while, and then I had to buy my own. I had to get through it. But my mom and dad did a good job giving me a car when they could. When they could, they gave me one. But when I didn't have one, they let me use theirs or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's good parenting. It's not, you don't just buy things you can't afford. Because when you do, you set your family up for failure.
Yeah, but kids now are so lucky how advanced cars were 10 years ago versus whenever I got my first car was, I thought my first car was awesome. But it was like, if I had the age of
What was your first car?
It was a Nissan Maxima, 1995 Nissan Maxima.
Okay. That's a good car.
It was a really nice
That's
car.
a nice car.
It was a terrible car, but
Bougie.
I loved it.
Y'all bougie?
I loved that car. Anyway, but the technology in that car versus that car when I got it was 14 years old, like 14, 15 years old. Now if I buy a 14, 15-year-old car,
Yeah.
dude, you got like Bluetooth.
It still speaks to you.
Yeah, it's like
What up, Jordan?
Yeah, it's like crazy. So the push to start, like they have that in those.
Which I really don't like, because if you have push to start, you can't go ring, 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 ring.
Well, that's probably good because that's terrible for
I
your
know.
car.
But all of my cars needed to do that. I needed to warm them up. My first car was a 1972 Super Beetle.
Super Beetle.
Yeah, a bug. It was awesome.
Anyway,
and then my
I was
brother
just
blew
saying-
it up. JK. Jerk.
Did he?
Yeah. I told him not to, when I was gone. I said, don't
Don't blow up my car.
I told him, I said, don't take my car anywhere. He let Jim Bob, what a great name. He let Jim Bob take it, and they had an oil leak and burned my car up.
That's good.
Jerk.
Anyway, I was just thinking about how
But I still love him
lucky kid.
because I
Do you?
have to.
Do you? Sounds like you're holding on to that. Sounds like someone needs to repent.
But no, I don't know.
Anyway, okay, let's get out of here.
So if you're really family, act like it.
Hey, really
love
family
each
act
other.
like it. Missy, did you have a comment?
Hey, before we get to her comment, if you love us like Jesus says you're supposed to love us, like and subscribe. There you go.
Like and subscribe. At 30 likes, y'all must not really want to talk to him.
They don't want to talk to me.
It's fine.
I don't blame. I barely want to talk to myself.
My first car was a 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, and my brother put some tins in the back, and we used to bass all through.
Bro, my brother had that car. It was Granny Mitten's car, and that thing could roll through I swear it
The
could have.
Oldsmobile?
Yeah, it could have rolled through a brick wall, and it would have barely left a dent. That thing was
Yeah,
heavy.
those things were solid.
Yeah, that thing was huge though. You could take like 50 people to the.
Granny had that car forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JK took. We used to pack that thing out, bro.
She had that car when she lived at Grandma's house too. And then she got that Dodge Neon or whatever. And then that one I think ended up catching on fire or something. Anyway. Yeah, like, subscribe, 30 likes. We'll get a day with him on the YouTube live with the questions. Thanks for leaving the questions. I like the stories. I like to hear y'all's reactions to the videos. So I'm glad it's going well. Other than that, that's all I got for you. Anything?
I thought she had a question.
What is your question, Missy?
Oh, you already asked it. It was kind of the same lines. If you don't like somebody but you're a Christian, is it okay to distance yourself? Actually, have
No, Missy, you cannot distance yourself from me and Jordan. You still have to stay near
like
us.
a woman.
Oh my goodness. No, I actually listen. I think it's better to distance yourself and pray for them than it is to try to stay near them when you know it's going to irritate you.
Yeah.
So,
but I have to work with them.
oh well, then.
What's their name?
Jordan and John. I know their name.
Yeah.
Here's the
Doesn't
thing.
happen to be in the same room as you right now.
Here's the thing, Missy. I really do mean this. Is that there are times when you're not gonna like people, and I think it's better if we just realize there are gonna be people you don't like, and it's okay. But here's the thing, like I told him Sunday, you're going to have to live with me for eternity. So you might as well get to liking me now.
No, I'll just ignore you in eternity. All right, pray us out of here.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Lord, did you hear him?
I'm just kidding.
All right, let's pray.
Let's go.
So, Father, thank you for the day and the time just to talk about your word. And, Father, just what a joy it is to be around people that love you and we love you. So, Father, we pray that you use this in whatever way you want in order that people might know you and feel close to you. Father, I pray for people right now who struggle with their testimony. Father, I pray that you would give them the ability to just share what it is you're doing in their life and that would reach people, plant a seed so that your spirit can move in their hearts. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Peace.